I have been very fortunate to have done the amount of stuff that I have done in the short period of time that I have been in the wrestling business. The Psycho Boy, Psycho Girl, Psycho Love, it's just us kind of turned up. I love just being a man, you know, to the fans, man.
Yeah.
It's so easy for me to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm watching like a bunch of Cardona stuff, and he gets to the building, we're in the back, and I go like, hey man, I got a couple ideas like for the match. And in my head, it's like, I already got the whole match put together, right? From start to finish. He goes, all right, man, he goes, run it by me so I can tell you all the stuff that I'm not gonna do, right? Wrestling's hot now. You can tell that wrestling's really hot, man, because like the indies are hot everywhere.
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.
Guys, R3 Jonah here in Massachusetts ahead of TNA Bound for Glory with one half of Psycho Love, of course, alongside his wife, Angelina Love. They've been in some very high-profile matches that I can't wait to get into. Psycho Boy Fodder, how you doing?
My man, thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely.
And we're both here. Massachusetts, long travel days. We made it here, and we're ready to get it cranking, man.
Absolutely. You know, to pull back the curtain, it's a little after midnight here. We are approaching fast, only hours from your wife's induction into the TNA Hall of Fame. A well-deserved honor for her, well-deserved achievement, but how does it feel for you being alongside her to see her get this award?
Oh, it's great, man. I mean, she totally deserves it.
Yeah.
Her and Velvet, I mean, they kind of, I don't want to say like revolutionized. I think that term kind of gets thrown around a lot. Like everybody's like revolutionizing the business or whatever. But I mean, they definitely made their mark on the wrestling business as a group, tag team. You know, both of them winning the Knockouts title multiple times. You know, so I'm very happy for her to see her go in. She's very happy about it, obviously, man. So we knew about it like a couple of days before they announced it. But she was over the moon about it. So I mean, it's very well deserved.
Were you with her when she got the initial news about it?
Sort of, kind of. So like when I'm kind of doing my thing and working and all that, we're always like on the FaceTime with each other. I mean, like me and her, like we're never really like ever apart. So like if we are like physically apart, like we're on the FaceTime with each other all the time. So she called me up, and actually what they had done was they kind of pulled the rug out from underneath. They told them they were doing something else, and they were doing an interview, and when they were doing the interview, then Carlos Silva came on, and he was like, hey, like I just want to tell y'all you're going to the Hall of Fame and all that. So Dreamer and them really worked the workers.
Yeah. That's awesome. That must feel good though for all, you know, a whole career being in the business, and then at the end being able to be surprised, because I feel like that is so rare.
Oh yeah, man.
To have a surprise like that. Has she been practicing a speech with you?
No, I told her I didn't want to know anything about the speech. I just wanted to hear it when she does it. So I know she had kind of written it out, and I told her, me personally, like I think bullet points work really good instead of just kind of like walking up and just reading the whole thing like verbatim, you know?
Sure, yeah.
You just have like your points, man, and just kind of hit it, and you know, because you got to have time for things like the crowd reaction and all that. So I told her, I was like, listen, man, when you do the speech, I'll hear it like everybody else.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear it. I mean, that's Bound for Glory, and along with so many other things, the show in general just seems like so stacked.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's huge. I mean, I think they got like, I think there's like 5,000 tickets sold for it, man. I mean, it's definitely going to be probably one of the biggest shows TNA's ever done.
Yeah.
And this is their biggest show. It's kind of like their WrestleMania, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I know from your last time on the show, big fan of the Attitude Era. Are you very pumped to see the Hardys and Dudleys one last time?
Oh yeah, man. Most definitely, man. I mean, that's going to be I would say a main event for the ages, you know? So if you're somebody who grew up on the Attitude Era, kind of to see everything kind of unfold one more time, it's kind of just putting the exclamation point on what both of those teams have done in the wrestling business.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that Matt has said like people are going to be crying when that match actually happens. I could see it. I could see these emotional fans getting into it. I'll certainly be emotional there. Is it surreal for you to have shared the ring with Bully Ray yourself?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think like when you're a wrestler and you're working, you're doing matches, and it's just like, you're doing a match here, and then like the next day, like there's like another TV taping, and you don't really have like you don't really have a lot of time to just kind of sit with things. But every now and again, like I'll sit with something, or maybe I'll like rewatch the match or whatever, and you just go like, man, like I can't believe I'm even wrestling with this guy, and like now I've worked him like multiple times, so
yeah.
it's super cool. I mean, dude, like when I was growing up, I mean, I had like, I don't know if you remember like the old ECW wrestling figures.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I had
Big
like
ones,
the
yeah.
Dudley Boys like action figures and stuff. I think they were like the ones where he had like the blue tie-dye gimmick on or whatever. Yeah, man. So it's super cool, and Bubba's always been. I mean, I know he's got like his own reputation, but he's always been very cool to me, man. He's always been very helpful. Like anytime I ask him like for advice or help, just with anything, man, he's always been very giving to me, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, I've heard you say too last time you were on the show, like how special it is to work any of these bigger names, but especially guys from the Attitude Era, right? Because they just have it's like something different in them.
Yeah, and like a lot of them are not even working anymore,
Right.
So just to be able to get in the ring with guys that were from that era when like wrestling's hot now.
Yeah.
And you can tell that wrestling's really hot, man, because like the indies are hot everywhere.
Yeah.
You see most of the indie shows now, I mean, they're drawing 500, 1,000 people, man. And to just be able to work with guys who were, I guess, in the business when the business was the hottest that it had ever been, is definitely a big highlight for me.
No, absolutely, that's special. I mean, and it's so cool because you've been able to be around so many creative minds still early in your career from like many different eras of wrestling too.
Sure.
You have like the Bully Rays, but then of course the EC3s, the Braun Strowmans who experienced it kind of at different eras. Can you take us into kind of like that whole control your narrative time period in your career and like what you learned from an EC3 and a Braun Strowman?
Man, I think like, so Adam, man, is, a lot of guys might look at Adam and be like, oh, like he's big, or he's limited in like what he can do because he's so big, right?
Yeah.
But Adam is very smart in terms of like, structuring matches and putting things together. I mean, like there were many times like, obviously like when you're doing like a TV production, like the referees have mics and earpieces
Right.
in, and people are feeding them, and I've seen Adam in the back, talking to the referee, telling the referee to give the wrestlers instructions, while matches were going on, if maybe a match had got kind of off track, or he was kind of looking for like a specific crowd reaction, to actually telling the wrestlers like what to do, like, hey, like put him in a hold, this, that, and the third. And he's very, very smart when it comes to the business. And I would say he doesn't get enough credit for that too. He takes a lot of heat online. Just how wrestling Twitter is, right?
Yeah. Stay away from it.
Yeah, stay away from wrestling Twitter, right? And EC3 the same way, man. I mean, he's helped me a tremendous amount, gave me a lot of opportunity, man, when I was just getting involved in the wrestling business. I mean, he kind of looked at me and was like, yo, you're gonna be my project, and I'm gonna try to help mold you and develop you and get you to the next level. And I think he did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I know how instrumental he was in your career. Did that all kind of mold into when you were creating the Psycho Boy persona?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because when he gave me the name, when he was like, I think we're just gonna call you Fodder.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a terrible name. I was like, dude, that's an awful name. I was like, why would anybody want that name, And then when we added like the Psycho Boy onto it, it's just something that I don't want to say it's odd. It's an odd name, because like Fodder would, I guess the definition of fodder is technically somebody who's getting fed, to, like, say I would be the fodder for EC3 if he was just going to beat me up or whatever, right?
Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was the definition.
So taking that and kind of making it my name and adding the Psycho Boy onto it and everything, it's just something that clicked and it stuck, and I mean, it worked out well, and now I really couldn't see myself being anything else.
Yeah, no, it does work. I mean, when you come out there too, like it's like a creepy name. You almost can't put your finger on like why it's creepy, but it is, and it like it works like with your whole demeanor with Angelina Love. Going from Psycho Boy to Psycho Love now, the duo, was that instant, or did that take a little bit of time to like form with you two?
Well, I mean, like, we started dating, and when we started dating, it was just kind of one of those things where we were just in the kitchen one day talking, and I was like, like maybe like you could manage me, and I could be Psycho Boy and you could be Psycho Girl, and we did it a couple times, like on the indies. We got footage of it. We gave the footage to Billy Corgan when we were working at NWA at that time, and they ran with it, and man, we've been running with it ever since, man. And I think she adds a lot to what I do, just as far as like the character presentation as a whole. Having her out there with me, there's so much stuff that we can do. We can do singles, we can do mixed tags, and she plays a very pivotal role in what I do.
Yeah, no, you guys are like one of the ultimate packages I feel on the indies right now, like as a couple and a real life couple. I'm sure it blends in, the real life dynamic helps for what you're doing out there. I think your entrance is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you, dude.
Every time you guys come out, did that kind of take a while to click, or was that like pretty quick?
No, when we were talking about doing the entrance, she was like, maybe we can kind of play off what her and Velvet were doing. Right.
Yeah.
So we kind of took, we had the entrance, but then like when we get up on the apron, she kind of does like the beautiful people thing, and then we come in and we do the main pose, for the hard cam when we get in the ring. But I think just kind of tying all that together worked really well.
No, it really did. I mean, if anyone hasn't checked out the entrance yet, I feel like they should. How similar is Psycho Boy Fodder to you yourself, Merton? Right.
I mean, I think Psycho Boy is me just kind of like turned up. Like, dude, like me being a babyface is just a no-go, man. Like, we just did a show in Hawaii, and we were heading over there, and we were just kind of trying to get some details on the match. And the booker was like, well, I got y'all working babyface. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, dude, we don't work babyface, right? So, but their thinking behind that is that like you guys are coming from the mainland. They don't see mainland wrestlers that often. They're gonna want to cheer you or whatever. So, it's just the Psycho Boy, Psycho Girl, Psycho Love. It's just us kind of turned up, and I love just being a dick, man. To the fans, man. It's so easy for me to do it. And no matter how tired I am, or if I'm wore out, man, or not having a good day or whatever, man, like when I walk through the curtain, I can just turn it on like that, man. So it's great, man. Like as soon as I walk through the curtain, like the first thing I'm looking for is somebody that I could call an asshole or give the middle finger or whatever. And it just kind of gets everything going.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of them out there.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
No short supply.
Well, there's no shortage of them on wrestling Twitter either.
Right, exactly.
So
no,
they're everywhere.
Are there any psycho characters, whether it be in wrestling or just in general, that you like to take any inspiration from?
Man, I get a lot of stuff like from like movies. Like what's the there's like that American Psycho movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in that. There's just a lot of stuff like movie-wise where you can like kind of like watch a character and you go like, oh, like I can take that and then like maybe make that like a character spot like in the match or things of that nature, man. So yeah, I mean that's what I look for like when I'm watching movies and things like that.
For sure. No, I mean I think you put it all together. A lot of different pieces too. How does a Psycho stick enter your arsenal?
So the real story on the Psycho stick was when we first started doing TV with NWA, we did an attack on Thom Latimer and Camille, used a kendo stick on them, and that set up a match with me and Latimer. It was a Singapore cane match.
A brutal match, by the way.
Rough, definitely a rough match when you're getting hit with those Singapore canes. So after the match, the next day, we're doing TV tapings, and Billy Corgan was like, yo, I think you should just like carry the cane with you everywhere. So I'm talking to Joe Galley, who's the commentator at NWA, and he was like, what do you want us to call the Singapore cane? And EC3 is like walking by, and he just walks by, he's like, call it the Psycho stick. And everybody just started laughing, and it was kind of a joke. And then I was like, call it the Psycho Stick. And that is how the Psycho Stick came about.
I love that it's just happenstance.
You know, a lot of stuff like
Yeah.
in wrestling just comes off of like joking or just, you know, conversing in the back about things, and somehow it just like ends up on the TV show, right?
I've heard like in other interviews wrestlers say like anything that'll make the boys laugh in the back is bound to make the crowd, you know, happy.
100%.
Something like that.
100%.
For people that didn't watch the first time you were on the show, can you take us back to that kendo stick match with Thom Latimer, the single cane match? Because it is one of my favorites that I saw at NWA for a long time. Like,
Appreciate
it was
that.
really good.
Man, you know, that match was, I always wanted to work with Thom Latimer. So when the match first got announced, I was like, man, we got to do like a weapons match, man. Like, because I wanted to work him in just like a regular singles contest, you know? So when we're putting the match together and everything, Dr. Tom Pritchard was the agent on the match. And, you know, we got it all put together, man. The crowd was good for the match. And one of the cool things about the match, if you watch it, is we don't really use the Psycho Stick or the Singapore cane. We don't really use that until like the very end of the match. And one of the ideas behind that was, you know, if you go out in the first 2 minutes and you start whacking each other with the cane, eventually the crowd just gets desensitized to it, right?
Yeah.
So they're just like, okay, like you've whacked him 100 times, like now I have no reason to go like, ooh, or make any noise about it. So when we structured the match and kind of got it to like those last couple spots where we were using the cane, that got a lot of reaction and the match turned out really well.
Yeah, it did. No, yeah, definitely. You like baited the fans until the end there, and I thought it was expertly done. What I thought was really sweet was we talked about it when you and Angelina were on the show, and she said that she liked like she was proud watching that match.
Her and EC3, like mom and dad,
like
right?
mom and dad in the back.
So, yeah, man, it was definitely cool. That was like my first pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing that was really cool about that was Ricky Morton had texted me after. Ricky was kind of like responsible for getting me hired at NWA. And he was like, hey, man, I just want to let you know that you really delivered tonight. So to have somebody like Ricky Morton, I call like Ricky Morton, he's like my wrestling dad, you know? To have somebody like him who's been in the business forever, Hall of Famer, legend, you know, tell me that I did a good job. Brian Knobbs was there.
Huge, yeah.
And so Brian Knobbs, Bobby Fulton, they were both just like hanging out in the back of the pay-per-view, and Brian Knobbs had actually came up to me and he was like, hey man, like I heard like tonight was like your first pay-per-view match. He was like, dude, he was like, it's really good and you were really good. And you know, I used to watch the Nasty Boys like on Coliseum home video, bro. So to have somebody like him, you know, who I used to watch growing up, man, come up to me and like congratulate me and, you know, kind of give me that moment was definitely very cool and something I would never forget.
That is really surreal. Can you talk about what advice, or I guess, what have you just learned kind of having Angelina Love manage you? And what has she taught you maybe like behind closed doors of just her legendary career?
The thing she's helped me the most with is promos.
Yeah.
Man, I used to be promos, I just never wanted to do them. I was like, like who needs to do promos?
Yeah.
Like whatever, you know? And having her kind of guide me on things like slowing down when you talk and kind of, you know, if you hit the specific point, like letting it breathe. Like, you know, I'm sure you see this, right? Like you'll see like guys that'll do promos and like they fit, you know, 5 minutes worth of talking in like 60 seconds, and you're just like, you can't like keep up with it, right?
A lot of bullet points here, like what just happened.
Yeah, it's just so much. It's just so much stuff, and they're talking so fast, and you can't absorb it, man. So learning how to like slow down, facial expressions, all that. And one thing about my wife is she is a expert promo deliverer, if that's the way you could put it, right? She spent a lot of time in her career doing promos. So, you know, being able to have her help me with that helped me tremendously. And like now I love doing promos.
Yeah.
You know, I could just come out, we had a show, this was probably 6 months ago, and we weren't late getting to the show, but we were really cutting it short. And the guy was like, I need you guys to go out there and do this promo to set up the match at the end of the night. And I was just like, hey man, cool man. Like when I get there, man, just give me a mic and we'll go out there and do it. And like we got there, I was like literally we walked in the building and I had already had my gear on. And they hit the music, we walk out, I cut the promo, set the match up, and when we got to the back, I was like, see, man, I was like, what you worried about, dude? Like, the guy was like totally stressed out about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, what a great mind to be under, seriously, something, especially like promos.
I've been very fortunate, man, to have the amount of help that I have had.
How does the Psycho Cutter enter your arsenal? Because we see a lot of cutters in wrestling, but
Right.
you like, use it well.
Man, I was looking for a move that I could use when we're doing like false finishes, right?
Yeah.
And I was looking for something that would be really easy that I could do with anybody. Because sometimes one move that I used to have, I don't even know what you would call it, but you would have a guy, like, say if you caught a guy who was trying to give you a crossbody, and then you kind of swing him around and he would take a back bump, right?
Okay.
But I can't do that with everybody because some guys are just way heavier. Everybody just, their legs don't swing around, right? So I used to do that a lot for like a false finish. And this kind of goes back to like Bubba. So me and Bubba are riding in the car and we're going to do the show. And I asked him, I said, I'm kind of like laying out the match and like letting him hear it or whatever. And I go, hey man, I said, so would you be cool if I did a cutter in the match? I was like, because I know you and Devon. I was like, I just want to ask you if you're okay with that, And he was like, why do you want to do a cutter? And I'm just kind of sitting there thinking, and I was like, is this like a trick question, And for a lot of people, like Bubba can be like very intimidating, So I'm like, he was like, why not a clothesline? And I was like, And he goes, do you want to do it because it's a good false finish? And I go, yeah. And he goes, okay, you can do it. So it's trying to, adding that in, it's one of those things where I can hit it on anybody. There's multiple ways that you can do it. Like if a guy throws a clothesline, you duck, stop, bam. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and it always gets a good reaction from the crowd. So I love doing it, and that's probably always going to be in the arsenal going forward, unless I'm like working like maybe like Randy Orton or something like that. I'd probably say, okay,
That's funny,
toss it to the side for this one.
I was wondering if you got like permission or anything like that, but that's a really cool story with Bubba though. Yeah, I guess, and it makes sense. Yeah, at the end of the day, it all
for
makes
sure.
sense. You just had a great match with Matt Cardona as well. I'm curious, as someone on the Indies, having a match with the indie god Matt Cardona, he's revolutionized, I feel, the Indies.
For sure.
Overused word, like we said, but he has done really well in the past, however many years to change his image completely. Did you pick up any, words of wisdom?
Man, Cardona's really cool, man. Funny story with the Cardona match is a lot of times, like when I work guys, no matter who it is, I like to watch a lot of their stuff. Yeah. So like, I get up like in the morning, I do cardio. I try to watch like 2 or 3 wrestling matches like while I'm doing cardio, just for study or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I'm watching like a bunch of Cardona stuff, and he gets to the building, we're in the back, and I go like, hey man, I said, I got a couple ideas like for the match. And in my head, it's like I already got the whole match put together, right, from start to finish. So I'm like, I want to run a couple ideas by you. So the first thing he goes, all right, man, he goes, run it by me so I can tell you all the stuff that I'm not going to do. Right? So I run everything by him, man, and he was totally cool with everything.
That must have felt good. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Like, and he told me, he was like, hey, man, he was like, you did a really good job, like, kind of constructing this whole match and putting it together. Like, I mean, there was a couple of spots that we did where he had a lot of input. One of them was like when the door spot happened in the match. And Cardona's really creative in the fact that I think my idea was just something where it was just going to be like a regular like whip reverse, and I reversed him into the door. Yeah. And just learning things like from him where he's like, hey man, like I think we can get into that spot a little bit more creatively. And his idea was like the baby powder,
Mm-hmm.
So just having guys like a Matt Cardona who's been in the business, forever, man. One, give me a compliment for putting the match together, but also learning from him as far as like just things, like how to do things like in a more creative manner. Yeah. Very cool for me too.
No, I mean, that's huge. And he is really just like one of a lot of these high profile names that you've been able to step in the ring with.
Sure.
So I've gathered 5 of them. Not sure if these are your 5 favorite, but I'd love to do a little blind ranking with you.
All right.
See, which ones you enjoyed the most out of these. So we'll start with one, and there's 5 of them, 1 through 5. Bully Ray.
Bully Ray is probably number 1.
Okay.
Hey, I think if we're talking about wrestling match, like if we're talking about a wrestling match in its entirety, right? Like the match, the crowd reaction, the story, that match had everything. So I would say I'm gonna put him at number 1 right now. Are we allowed to move these around?
I'm gonna say no.
All right, so I'm gonna
lock that in.
I'm gonna put Bubba at 1.
It's only 1 in the morning, right? You got to be
Right.
Okay, next one, Elijah/Elias, Wrestle Kid.
I'm gonna put it at 3.
Okay, solid choice. We got 1 and 3. Thom Latimer, kendo stick.
4.
4. Matt Cardona.
Ooh. I really like that match. I'm gonna go 2.
Okay, and then Joe Hendry.
5.
5.
Yeah.
Perfect lineup. That's great. I mean, and like I said, just some of the many names you've been able to get in there with. But that's a crazy list for, I think, 4 years.
Dude, I have been very fortunate to have done the amount of stuff that I have done in the short period of time that I have been in the wrestling business. I started training wrestling September 2019.
Okay.
And that's like, hey, I'm coming today and I'm signing up. And then, by 2022, I mean, I was doing shots at AEW, I was doing, the Ring of Honor stuff, NWA. So it just all happened really fast for me.
And something I'm curious about, because you came from the world, you were always a fan, but coming from the world of like fitness and bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you have any advice for someone who is getting into wrestling kind of from a different discipline, a different world, and a little bit later in their career. Like, how would you navigate something like that if you had to do it?
Man, I think a lot of people don't realize too, man, like a lot of wrestling, man, is about how you look. It's like if you were a guy and you were running a promotion or, you owned a wrestling company, it's like what, as a performer, when you're looking at performers, it's like, what is gonna make you stand out? Me and Billy Gunn and X-Pac this was in January, we were talking about this, and I'll never forget this. X-Pac said, you gotta have something that makes you stand out from everybody, whether it's the way you look or your character or something. He said, man, because now everybody's good in the ring. Like everybody can do the in-ring stuff very well. So like, what's the next thing that makes you stand out?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would tell guys, man, like your look and talking, man, those are 2 of like the biggest things. I think talking too is very big in the sense that like, at some point, like you're gonna have to cut promos, right? And you're gonna have to do it in front of a live audience where you're not gonna be able to do, 500 retakes if you keep messing up, right? So you gotta be able to be in front of an audience, talk without, jumbling your words and doing all that type of jazz, man. So look, talking, and then the actual in-ring stuff.
Yeah, no, a great list. And, being comfortable with that pressure, I feel too, right?
For sure, man.
Well, I want to say thank you, though. I mean, this has been so much fun.
Oh, yeah,
finally
dude.
getting to do this in person. It's long overdue.
Dude, it's crazy. We finally met, man.
I know, and look at that. And after it took you a trip to Hawaii, a trip to all these places, and you end up here in Massachusetts for Bound for Glory. I know you have a crazy announcement, though, for WrestleCade. I'd love to ask you about some future goals and that coming up. Too.
Yeah, man. So we got a lot of big matches coming up. I got Dijak coming up on November 8th, and then the big WrestleCade Super Show is going to be Psycho Boy Fodder with the Psycho Girl, Angelina Love, against Killer Cross with Scarlett. Awesome. So that's going to be a huge match. WrestleCade is a huge draw, big 3-day convention. Shout out to Tracy Myers and Brian Hawks who put it on, man, and kind of put everything together, man, for that big weekend, man. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to kicking Killer Cross's ass.
Absolutely. I mean, that feels like a dream match too, like waiting to happen. Just thinking about how Cross is, like characterizing about who you are, and Scarlett and Angelina. That's gonna be awesome.
And it's kind of a callback because Cross had done some Control Your Narrative stuff. So that's actually where I know him from.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
And Cross is always very cool to me, very helpful, man. He was in the third installment of the Free the Narrative series.
Right.
So actually what had happened with that, and not to go long or anything, but what he was filming it, and we had wrapped up the filming, and then that's when he went back to WWE. So there was a lot of like, are we going to be able to use this thing? You know, because he's there. So we did end up being able to use it. And you know, now that he's, you know, out of WWE and he's back doing things on the indies and whatnot, man, it's going to be really cool to jump in the ring with him and, you know, have a great match.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see it. Well, thank you again, man. This has been a pleasure.
Hey, thank you, brother. We very much appreciate it.
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.